Now with a Phillips screwdriver, remove the cover for the metering diaphragm. And the pump diaphragm. Using a Phillips head screwdriver, we're going to remove the screw holding the needle and the needle pin in place in the carburetor. Make sure to keep your thumb over the needle because there's a small return spring underneath of it. And a complete carb rebuild kit for this Zama carburetor does not include a new spring. There's the spring. Using a small pick, remove the screen from inside the carburetor located here. While this may look clean, sometimes it becomes varnicized with old fuel. These are the different sides of the carburetor. This cover goes on this side like such. And on the opposite side, just like that. This small screen that I removed with the pick goes right in this hole here. And since this carburetor is an C1Q H117A carburetor, we'll be using a Zama RB54 repair kit. This kit comes with everything you need to rebuild one of these Zama carburetors. And if you remember on the previous video, or earlier in this one, I can't remember, I'm filming this in two parts, I stated that the return spring for the needle was not included. Well, on this particular kit, it is included. And here it is. Once you've thoroughly cleaned the body of your carburetor, you can then begin reassembly. You can start reassembly by taking your return spring and placing it in the hole here on the carburetor. Then insert your pin through the cantilever opening. Now take your needle and place it on the back side of the cantilever. Lining everything up, lower the needle into the opening on the carburetor behind the spring. Once you have the entire assembly in there, holding it with your thumb, being careful not to lose any pieces, you can then reinstall the Phillips head screw that holds everything together. Once you have that installed, you can then place your new gasket on the carburetor. And taking your new diaphragm, place it on top of the new gasket, and then place your cover on top of the diaphragm. Then tighten your screws. Now you can reinstall the screen that goes here. What I like to use is a 13/64 drill bit, the flat end that you place in the chuck of the drill. Once you have the screen lined into the carburetor, take your drill bit and simply press down until the screen bottoms out in the carburetor. Just like that. Now you can install your new pump diaphragm. Simply line up the holes. Then your new gasket on top. Replace your cover and tighten. And when tightening any screws on these small two-stroke carburetors, always use common sense. Do not over tighten, they can easily be stripped. Now, installation of the carburetor is the exact opposite of removal. Reattach your air cleaner to the carburetor. Reattach your carburetor and air cleaner to the intake. Oil and install new air filter. Install power unit into case. Install top and bottom power head mount screws. Install kill switch, off facing the carburetor, ignition facing the back of the saw. Reinstall throttle linkage. Install fuel and oil tanks. Now retrieve and remove your old fuel filter. As you can see, this one's quite dirty, and we'll be replacing it with a new one. By removing a portion of the old fuel line, the old fuel line will now fit snugly on the new filter. Now remove the old filler cap. As you can see, the primer bulb is completely disintegrated on it. Just grab the hose and twist up. Now what I found, and I believe it's by a company called Little Red Barn, and here are the part numbers. Hope you guys can make those out. They make reproduction caps for these old Homelite chainsaws, and I've had pretty good luck with them. That's the new to replace the old, and it comes with instructions depending on what you bought it for. it tells you where to connect the lines for your particular saw. Now reinstall your spark plug. Now reinstall your muffler. $8mm. Now reinstall your muffler guard with the 4 Phillips head screws. Now reinstall your bar oil adjusting knob right way up. Next, retrieve your oil pickup screen from the tank. Twist and pull to remove it from the hose. Take your new pickup screen, twist and push into the hose, and then reinsert the hose into the bottom of the oil tank. Now reinstall your recoil starting assembly with the 4 screws that you removed earlier. Now reinstall your carburetor cover. Now reinstall your side handle. Simply place it in the 2 openings on the saw and press in. Then using a Phillips head screwdriver, reinstall the screws that you removed to remove the handle. Using a large flathead screwdriver, reinstall the top hand guard. Now we can begin reassembling the bar and the chain. Also at this time, take note of your chain catch. This catches the chain in the event it comes off of the bar, so it doesn't come all the way back and damage you or the saw. If this looks like it's worn out, replace it. Now, make sure when you put your chain back on your bar that the teeth are heading in the proper direction. Now simply place your bar and chain into the saw. Make sure your chain goes around the clutch. Then pull forward and set the bar onto the saw. Now you can reinstall your bar plate. Your flat washer. And your 7/16 nut. Snug them up, but do not tighten them at this time. Using a flathead screwdriver, hold your bar up slightly and turn the adjuster to tighten up the chain. And that's good. Now tighten your bar nut.